For anybody who watches my channel, you'll know that one thing I almost always do when creating presets in modelers, whether I'm utilizing Helix, HX Stomp, or more recently Tonex, is I always like to have a little bit of compression at the end of my signal chain to kind of glue everything together. And I've always kind of referred to it as my little mastering section. Not that that's necessarily an accurate thing, but I refer to it in the same manner that a mastering engineer might take a whole mix and glue everything together. So I take all the elements of my signal chain that are creating my guitar tone and I end up compressing them just a little bit. You know, a lot of people have criticized me for that and said, oh, you know, you can't put compression after delay and reverb or time-based effects because you're going to destroy those. And that's very true if you're using the compression in a very heavy-handed, overt way, but I don't tend to do this. I use it very subtly and use it just as a little bit of glue. Now, you might wonder why I'm talking about this again. Well, I've oftentimes run the compression on my real-life pedal boards in the same way, where they end up going in the guitar amps effects loop after everything, and I just add a subtle amount of compression to the overall signal. And I've always been in search of a compressor pedal that I thought would just do everything I wanted it to do. And I've had some nice ones over the years. But when I heard that the folks from Universal Audio released their new Max Preamp Compressor pedal, it really piqued my interest and I had to go grab one. Full disclosure, I have no relationship whatsoever with Universal Audio. I know nobody over there. I purchased this with my own money because it seemed like such an incredible piece of gear. And I've always loved pretty much everything that Universal Audio has ever done that I've tried. And the real reason I love this so much is it has models of two of my favorite compressors of all time, the LA2A opto compressor and the 1176 FET compressor. And I just had to try this to see how it works. So I'm going to do a little bit something different in this video compared to some of the other videos out there. There's some great videos out there showcasing every feature of this pedal. One of the ones that comes to mind that I watched was from Corey Congilio. He has a great channel and he did a really killer video for the Max pedal. And I'll try to remember to link below to that. Go check out Corey's review and demo of that to hear some killer playing and also to hear the pedal in action in some different ways. But today I am going to actually utilize it at the end of a signal chain, and I'm going to utilize it with two guitar-based modelers instead of with real amps. So you're not going to hear my guitar plugged into the pedal. What you're going to hear is the Max pedal incorporated into Cubase, which might seem like an odd thing. I have it set up as an external effects processor, and that allows me to use it as an insert, and I'm putting it after, in this case, Helix Native for one instance. And also we're going to listen to it in Tonex at the end of the chain. So this way I can run my whole signal chain with reverb, time-based effects, and then run it in as the very last thing in the chain, much like it would maybe be used in the studio. So we can hear maybe how this Max effects pedal can work in that way. And that'll kind of set this video apart maybe from a lot of the other videos where folks are using it more just as plugging their guitar into it and allowing the compressor to react to their guitar signal before it's processed by an amp. So I hope that some folks will find this useful. There is a third setting on the Max pedal, which is the Dynacomp, and I'm not even going to utilize that. That's not really my favorite way to use a compressor. That's a great compressor if we're looking for some of that country chicken picking front end of the amp, but I'm not going to utilize it in that way in this video. I'm going to focus more on the LA2A mode and the 1176 mode. So enough talking. Let's go over, take a look at the pedal, and take a look and listen to how it actually sounds in this particular scenario. Right, so here we are over at the Max pedal, and you'll notice we have a lot of different possibilities here. We do have a preamp built into this that we could use for some really interesting color, but again, I'm not going to be using that feature in this video because I'm running this after the amp, and if we push that too hard, we could probably get some nastiness that we wouldn't really want as part of our chain. Now, if I was using this in front of an amp, I could use that to actually add some nice color to the amp, but for today's video, we are just going to bypass that. We have two compressors in this. And again, if you watch some of the other videos out there about this pedal, you'll get a lot more info about how flexible this pedal is. We can have two compressors of the three types that I've already mentioned, the LA2A, the FET 1176, and the Dynacomp, that we can either run in series and parallel or in an exclusive mode. We can have them both on at the same time, running in those different modes. Really incredible stuff. When we're on the Dynacomp, the attack is not going to have any effect at all. You can really read the manual here and figure out exactly how to use this. The attack is only going to work on the 1176 compressor. On the LA2A though, we have the ability to use multiple ratios and release times, whereas on the original that wasn't possible. If we set it to 4:1 and to around noon on the release, 4:1 on the ratio for the LA2A, that's going to give us what the original hardware was on its compressor setting. And if we put that all the way up to all, that would be what the original hardware had on its limiting setting. But we can also play with the release time. So it actually gives us more than the original hardware. We also have our comp control, which is going to basically control the amount of gain reduction and compression that we actually get. On the LA2A and the 1176, it's really going to control how much signal is going into the compressor, therefore how it's going to react to that particular signal and how much compression we get. Now, one really cool thing is the LED here. You'll notice I just engaged the compressor, and if I just play a little bit here, this LED is not telling us that there's signal present. You'll notice here that it went from green all the way up to red, then yellow, and hung on yellow even after I stopped playing. What that's doing is that's telling us how much the compressor is reacting to the signal and how much gain reduction we're actually getting. So if I was to turn the comp control all the way down, as you can see here, we're on the LA2A setting right now. We could simply just change that by flicking this switch and making our adjustments how we would want to make them. So very cool stuff. So that is going to be, this little LED is going to be a very important part of dialing this in. If we're just trying to get the compressor to react just every now and then or in a real subtle manner, we would want to adjust the compressor control. So it was just kicking in at the desired level of signal that we would want it to come in at. So you'll see there, I'm getting the coloration of the signal going through the compressor, but it's not compressing all the time. Until I hit maybe a little bit harder. And a lot of times that's how I set these, especially if it's at the end of the chain going after some of my reverb and time-based effects. Now listen to that if I turn it off. Does something very pleasant to the sound, and it doesn't really destroy my reverb in any way. You might be asking me what I'm playing through right now. I'm actually playing through Helix Native using my D-style preset from the Line 6 Marketplace, which normally has the LA Studio comp at the end, but I've turned it off for this instance because I don't want that on as well. So actually, if I open up Helix Native here, you're not going to see this on screen. And if I engage the compressor on there and turn the uaudio Max off, I'll disengage it. Engaged. does something similar. It just kind of gives the overall sound some weight and some beef to it, for lack of a better term. So let's re-engage the Max version here on the hardware. I think it does a really nice job. Now, if we were to take this, the attack control, you're going to notice if I rotate this, we get a flashing LED here on the Max compressor, basically telling us that that control doesn't function on the LA2A setting. But if we switch to the FET 1176, it now does. Now, the faster attack is going to be when we rotate clockwise, which is very different than a lot of effects. Let's hear how this compressor sounds. Now, we'll start with a ratio of 4:1 like it's set here, release in the center, and we'll go with the fastest attack. How's that compared to the LA2A? I'm going to crank up the compression here. That might be a little much. I'm just trying to push this to see how much it takes to really destroy the sound. And it's really not destroying it in any way, even though we're running it at the end of the signal chain. I'm really liking this. But again, what we could do is set this back to a more reasonable, 4:1 compressor down, maybe back the attack off so it's a little slower. It's a really nice sweet spot right there. We'll switch that back over to the LA2A. Really nice stuff. Now, what I want to do is I want to come over here and I'm going to switch off of Helix Native and I'm going to switch over to Tonex. And this is my D Classic Ultimate Tone Model Bundle, which is a set of tone models I created using my Fuchs ODS Classic amp. Now, again, we'll listen to this without the compressor on it. I've disabled the compressor within Tonex as well. So that's on the LA2A. Let's add a little more compression here. Down to our 1176. Now, obviously, you're going to have to adjust this to your liking, and there's so many settings here, it would be almost impossible to not come up with something, no matter how subtle or how extreme, that isn't going to work really, really nicely. All right, so there's a quick run through, and I hope I gave enough audio examples. I hope I didn't play too much there, but I want you to really get to hear how this sounded with a couple different modelers after the modelers instead of before, how a lot of people would run it. Setting it up very subtly on that LA2A setting can really add some beautiful character to whatever tone we have. And if we're not too heavy-handed with it, we have no problem putting it at the end of our signal chain, and it works beautifully to just give us that really nice color that we may want to our sound and add a little bit of glue and weight to the overall tone. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to leave you today with a couple demo videos. The demo videos I have for the two presets and tone models that I was utilizing today. The D-Style Helix HX Stomp preset that's available at the Line 6 Marketplace at the link below. And also the Tonex D Classic, which is my tone models based off of my Fuchs ODS Classic. I'll have those two videos on the way out so you can hear what those two sets of tone models and presets sound like, and the links will be below. If you like those and if you use those platforms, you want to grab those and help support my channel, it is always greatly appreciated. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like the video. Please share it with anybody you think would get some use or enjoyment out of watching it. And also please subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content out. I'll be back really soon with some more. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Ciao for now.